Welcome to The Liberated Life. Get ready to free your mind, body, and spirit in business and pleasure. Now here's your host, Robin Quinn Keene.
Hi, and welcome to today's episode of The Liberated Life. We have another micro episode today, taken straight from the card deck trigger warning, Let Your Triggers Transform Your Life. We're spending some time working through 40 different emotions. Today's trigger is feeling depressed. This is a pretty common thing, and there are so many reasons, chemical, physical, emotional, many reasons that people feel depressed, and I am not digging into those. I'm not a psychologist or doctor, and I know if you struggle with depression, I'm sure that you have looked into it for yourself, and that is not my point today. Really, what I'm asking is, when we are feeling depressed, what can we uncover from that? Because we were triggered, and depression is the result. Now, this might be depression that you deal with all the time, and it may have been going on for many, many years, but I believe it's still worth looking at the depression that you're having right now. And if you can find anything below it that will be of value to you in perhaps moving it, shifting it, having a different awareness or understanding of what's going on, that's really my goal for you. When you're feeling depressed, what are the emotions underneath the depression? I have a few dear friends who deal with a lot of depression, and one of my aunts dealt with massive depression. In conversations with my friends and with my aunt, I recognize there's some things often below the surface, and sometimes you can put your finger on them and sometimes you really can't. But here are a couple of things that seem to come up when we're depressed. So depression can be triggered by some kind of fear, perhaps some kind of deep sadness or feelings of isolation. It can also come up from feeling misunderstood by others. How does feeling depressed let you off the hook in your life? What are you excused from doing or being because you're depressed? And I know this isn't an easy question if you're depressed, but how would seeing your attachment to being depressed set you free? Now, I know this might be a little bit triggering, and that's the point of this deck and the point of this conversation. Those are some big questions, like if you're depressed, do you use that then as an excuse not to participate? Do you use that as an excuse not to work, not to do things? And again, I'm not making you wrong. My intention is not to make you more upset, but if you're willing to look, you might see something. Are you attached to being depressed? And if you could see that you were, how could that potentially set you free? Now, I know I've repeated myself, but if you're depressed and you were feeling a little shocked the first time I said it, I wanted to be able to say it one more time to you. For journaling today, you could ask this question: how does depression keep you safe? What is depression protecting you from? And what do you get from it? What do you get to avoid because you're depressed? I know, tough questions. But what would it be like for you if you were free from it? Can you imagine your life without depression? What would that look like? How would that be for you? What would change? And the final question I have for you is, are you willing to be free of it? Now, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a counselor. I'm a coach. And I've had many people in my life that struggle with depression. And I've also seen some of my friends who have done this kind of work decide that's not where they're going to live anymore. And I've seen some of my friends who struggle with depression make a commitment to shifting this, and I've seen them break free. Not all the time, but much, much more. If you'd like to chat about this topic, feel free to reach out to me. If this was super triggering to you and you'd like to talk to me about it, make an appointment with me, and I'm happy to spend some time with you. Thanks for listening to The Liberated Life. I'll see you again on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and recommend on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, or wherever you get your podcast. You can also get more great information at quittingculture.com.